Hello, my name is Matt Jones. I'm narrating this presentation that we've made on Jose Clemente Orozco. I made this presentation with my group mates Emery Kent, Aisha Khan, and Sophie Kinrad. Here's the outline we have as to who did what within the course and how the work was distributed. Now let's get into it. We chose Jose Clemente Orozco because it relates to the course in the sense that the visual culture portrayed in his paintings, as well as the influence from his own background and diversity, was relevant to what we learned. This can be seen in many of his paintings resembling Mexican themes. Much like the information covered in Module 3.2, Orozco became a big part of Mexican muralism by leading this movement along with other artists, establishing his role in Los Tres Grandes, which was a group of the three most influential painters of the time in Mexico. Much of this art created a style that produced a sense of Mexican identity, which makes sense given the period in which they were painted and the political tension that was existing in Mexico. Much of Orozco's work challenges other political ideas while using his own culture to inspire his art. We found that the characteristics and basis of his art reflect on the cultural diversity and aspects taught throughout this course. The painting we will be analyzing in this presentation is the Table of Universal Brotherhood, painted in 1931. We chose this painting because it portrays the message of equality and cultural diversity. The different individuals seen in the painting represent political leaders of varying cultures and nationalities. The overall message of this piece of art stems from the idealized brotherhood of men, despite cultural differences. Due to these reasons and the message behind the painting, we thought this artwork actively expressed ideals and concepts such as race and ethnicity that reflected on the importance of cultural diversity in art that we learned through this course. Jose Clemente Orozco was a Mexican muralist born in Zapatan el Grande on November 23, 1883. He was considered part of the Los Tres Grandes, which was, as previously mentioned, a group of the three most influential muralists in Mexico. His mural works were primarily political-based and helped establish the Mexican mural renaissance. When he was a child, his parents both moved to Mexico City in an attempt to find a better life for themselves. However, despite their best efforts, they often lived in squalor and poverty. This likely had an impact on the establishment of his political stances, which primarily centered around providing aid to the peasants and the poverty-stricken of Mexico. Orozco obtained his interest in making political murals during the height of the Mexican Revolution, after witnessing Guadalupe Posada working on a political mural in an open shop window. Witnessing this was the spark that ignited the flame for Orozco and was what started him down the artist's path. At age 15, Orozco's father died of typhoid, and he began taking art classes while attempting to support his mother. Not long after this, he lost his entire left hand in an accident involving fireworks on Mexico's Independence Day. He continued to scrape by despite his injury, attempting to support his family, and much later he left for the United States in an attempt to establish himself as an artist. It was these hardships that pushed Orozco to paint the powerful and moving murals that he is commonly associated with, that deal with the hardships and struggles of life and the brutality of the Mexican Revolution. The painting we will be analyzing in this presentation is the Table of Universal Brotherhood, painted in 1931. We chose this painting because it portrays the message of equality and cultural diversity. The different individuals seen in the painting represent political leaders of varying cultures and nationalities. The overall message of this piece of art stems from the idealized brotherhood of men, despite cultural differences. Due to these reasons and the message behind the painting, we thought this artwork actively expressed ideals and concepts such as race and ethnicity that reflected on the importance of cultural diversity in art that we learned through this course. Jose Orozco had many intentions for making the Table of Universal Brotherhood. During the time frame he created this piece, the Mexican Revolution was occurring. Since Orozco was one of the most influential artists during the Mexican Revolution, he used his fame to make a work that sent an important social message. His intention for this piece was to promote his political agenda, which was a message of inclusion. The painting shows the unity of multiple men conversing from different backgrounds. Orozco supported the idea of democracy and people working together to solve the issues of the country. His idea of brotherhood and unity was displayed in this artwork. Upon first reaction, the theme of the painting is overall racially and culturally inclusive. At this table are seated people of all races, creeds, ethnicities, and cultures. It clearly holds themes of racial and cultural inclusion, as well as a clear message on diversity, which will be elaborated on further on. At first glance, it seems that there is a very boring meeting going on, but if you take a closer look at the people pictured here, you can see that there are individuals from several different areas of the world. This goes to show that the artist wanted to portray brotherhood, and that brotherhood is inclusive of all men, regardless of their different political beliefs and social classes within the world. This painting portrays human rights activists, as well as Mexican Revolution activists. The major activists portrayed here are Gandhi, Carrillo Puerto, and Lenin. Gandhi is portrayed here because he stands for non-violent civil disobedience. Upon returning to India, he was set to protest against excessive taxes and discrimination against labor workers and peasants. The next major activist painted in this mural is Carrillo Puerto. He was a journalist and politician who made efforts to make peace between the Yucatec Maya and the Mexican government after the caste war. In essence, he was a peacemaker. The other person portrayed here is Lenin. He was a Russian politician. His goal was to establish a socialist government in Russia. On the other side of the table, there are slave workers and labor workers. This is showing that no matter what race one is and what social class one is from, they are all connected by brotherhood at this table. This painting clearly portrays a message of diversity and inclusion within the various societies of the world. In this sense, the work truly lives up to its name, the Table of Universal Brotherhood. The manner in which the portrayed characters conduct themselves also holds a great relevance, as they are seated in a very peaceful and cordial manner, none holding a stance of judgment or criticism against the others. It is very clear here that Mr. Orozco was trying to speak out for racial diversity, civil rights, and human rights, and tolerance amongst all the different people groups that existed in the world. Orozco's intent was to promote the idea of unity within democratic lands. The Mexican Revolution caused democracy to rise, and Orozco supported the idea of working with others from different areas of the world. Diversity helps spread new perspectives and discoveries. Accepting that other people come from different backgrounds helps create a level of respect within the politicians, which allows them to focus on helping the people. Notice that with its all-inclusive themes, it's almost as if it seeks to include the viewer itself in this table of great leaders, as the semicircle is left half open, almost as if the viewer is being invited to sit on the empty spot at this table. This helps remind the viewer that they also have a voice in their life, and could help bring about change in the world as well. The Table of Universal Brotherhood can definitely be considered as having elements of instrumentalism to it. This is due to its clear social message of equity that is portrayed in the painting. It can also be considered as having elements of emotionalism and expressionism as well, due in part to its dark color scheme. The detail on the people's faces indicate that the topic of discussion is serious and important, which can be another reason why the color scheme is not bright. The artist wanted the viewers to focus on the message, and not how pretty the painting is. This emphasizes the cynicism, depression, and tone that the painting portrays. The meaning behind the Table of Universal Brotherhood relates to the elements of postmodernism, because it reflects the ideas of those who supported the Mexican Revolution and who participated in the revolt against Mexico's dictator. This painting was influential because it gave a voice to the people of the Mexican Revolution who were not able to be heard during such a time period. With the interpretation and reaction and general analysis of the work out of the way, me and my group mates can now move on to discussing the various aspects of what we learned while doing this project. From this project, Aisha learned how to look at art from a different lens. She has learned to gain perspective from art and an understanding and appreciation for artists from different parts of the world, and the story they have to tell through sculptures, colors, and paintings. She learned how to go beyond superficial details and really get into the emotions behind the work. She believes that there are so many themes and ideas each artist brings to the table, and after doing the modules for this class, she can better identify themes and go deeper with background knowledge, and with a bit of context about the author, that is. This course and project has helped Aisha contribute to this final presentation because she took all that she learned from the modules and pieced it together in her interpretation and description of the mural, The Table of Universal Brotherhood, by Jose Clemente Orozco, that our group analyzed. This class taught Emery the importance of looking deeper into what is in front of you. It is important not to judge a book by its cover. By looking into the meaning of the artwork, she learned about the messages trying to convey, and learned about other people's perspectives. Artists have the opportunity to voice their ideas to their audience, which is important to do. Change doesn't occur without someone voicing their opinion. The idea of art criticism has taught her to look into the deeper meanings of the work, and helped her see ideas through a new point of view that's presented by the artist through the works which they've presented to the viewer. Throughout this project, I learned an efficient and systematic way to approach analyzing works of art by refining my approach to the four-step analytical model. Through this refinement of the various methods in the four-step analytical model, I can articulate and read into works in an orderly and efficient and effective manner. I gained a more in-depth look into the life of a very talented artist and gained a deeper insight into the history of Mexico. I also gained knowledge of the Mexican Revolution and its various troubles, turmoil, and the pressure it put on the people of Mexico. By viewing much of Orozco's work and its focus on the peasants and poor people during the revolution, I understood on a deeper level the way in which this revolution impacted the lower class of Mexico, and how the murals portrayed their plights. Through Orozco's work, The Table of Universal Brotherhood, I gained insight into expressionistic and emotionalist aesthetic theory, and how dark and somber tones can portray a message that's just as, if not more moving than a more colorful, vibrant, and more rendered piece of artwork that the viewer can be given. From this project, Sophie learned the importance of diversity in all areas of art. Without the influence of different backgrounds and experiences, art wouldn't be as varied and individualized as it is. She learned the significance of culture in creating each artist's own style and techniques in which they incorporate into their work. The material in Module 3.1 allowed Sophie to better understand and evaluate art through the process of art criticism. This project allowed Sophie to learn more about the Mexican muralism movement that we briefly learned about in previous modules of this course. Sophie found this project to be very insightful because it helped to reveal hidden messages and cultural influences of the artwork, such as common themes and ideas in Mexican art that were portrayed in murals that were painted during the Mexican Revolution era by painters such as Mr. Orozco. That concludes our presentation of Mr. José Clemente Orozco and his work, The Table of Universal Brotherhood. Here's our works cited page and the various sources that we use to make this presentation possible. Thank you for watching.